And the Cassidys and all the people who put this rally together. You know, at the start of the rally, Laura said, would you please turn to somebody you don't know, tell them where you're from, and whether or not you've had enough. So Indiana, my name is Frank Anderson. I am from Pleasant Grove, Utah. I am here to report to you that with you, the people of Utah have had enough. Elected. In October, 6 months ago, right after the bailouts were passed, approval ratings dipped to 9%. The first time ever in single digits, 96% of the incumbents were reelected. I'm here to tell you, when approval ratings are going down, but congressional reelection rates are going up, they have figured some things out in Washington that they don't want you to know about. And here's what they figured out. Since 1974, when they put the current budget process in place, and note that's just 34 years ago. This isn't something our forefathers did. This isn't something that Lincoln and Douglas debated about. 34 years ago, they put in place our current budget process, and they have now figured out over the last 34 years how to pull the maximum money out of that system and give it to the special interest groups who are funding their perpetual re-elections. And those guys are more than glad to fund those re-elections to keep getting them in Congress. And since 1974, overall, 94% of all incumbents keep getting re-elected year after year after year after year after year after year. We have had enough. Here's how bad it got in 2008. 1/12 of 1% of all Americans, plus their special interest PACs, donated 81% of all the money your incumbent representatives who voted for the bailouts used to get reelected again. 81%. The other 99.92% of us, when we can only come up with about 20% or so of what they used to get elected, and we tell them over 1,000 to 1, do not vote for those bailouts, who do you think they listen to? They didn't listen to us. Absolutely. And we've had enough of that. I saw a lot of veterans out here today. We've met several of you. I can tell you the report that I just gave you about Washington, as I talked to some of them in the audience, they didn't fight for this. And you guys, we are now going to stand up and we are going to fight to take this back from our government. So now the fourth reason I'm here is I'm here to tell you about what we call the Chaffetz Miracle back in Utah. And you've probably seen Jason on Glenn Beck. Here's the story. We put him up against a 6-term bailout voting incumbent. That incumbent outspent us over 6-1. That incumbent had the president's endorsement. He had the endorsement of the 2 Republican senators who also voted for the bailout. He had the endorsement of the whole Republican Party in Utah. He had all the major endorsements of the 3 papers. Jason had 1,000 volunteers, 1,000 people who had enough. We went to work, and 2 years later, we beat that 6-term bailout incumbent by 20 points, 60 to 40%. And he did it with unpaid staff. Not a single person on that staff was paid, unlike it's never been done in recent political history. So now I wanted to report to you what happened when we sent him back to Washington. Since he went back to Washington, he voted against the stimulus, he voted against the current budget, he voted against all the earmarks, he voted to strip the earmarks. In short, we sent a congressman back who has his hand in his own pocket, and that hasn't been seen for quite some time. And when I look around here today, I see 10,000 Hoosiers who would like to see 534 more representatives just like that. And you guys want to start right now and send them back to Washington in 2010, do you not? So I'm going to ask you one important question, and that question is, therefore what? We got 10,000 people here. Your signs make me laugh over and over again. We got the Baneys who helped put this together. We got Betsy Ross. We've got the most amazing people and veterans out there. What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week? What are we going to do a month from now? We cannot let this momentum pass. And I want to tell you about what we are doing since we elected Jason Chaffetz, because we didn't want that momentum to pass too. We started spreading the message of how we did it with 1,000 unpaid volunteers against all of that incumbent money. And we now have we have people in our organization in 46 states, including here in Indiana. But right now, there isn't a single state yet that has hit 10,000 people organized to do this. But I'll bet you what? I'll bet you after today, I'll bet you we can get 10,000 in Indiana right off the bat. Am I right? So I would love to tell you a lot more right now, but you guys want to go home eventually. You guys want to see Thomas Paine. We're just about done here, and that'll get my biggest ovation when I tell you I'm done, I know. But one thing I want to tell you before I go, there is a website out there. Think of it very simple. It's called caucus.org, not .com. When you go home tonight, you go look at iCaucus.org, because what you're going to see there is a series of videos about 9 to 13 minutes long that tell people how we educated them to what was happening in Washington. You will find out things you didn't know before. I promise you that. It tells people how we united to get the incumbent, the bailout incumbent, out of Congress. And I'm telling you, the other side, the acorns, they are united under one principle. Let's vote for the guy who's going to give us the money and the benefits. They are united. And while we go to work every day, they get paid to spread that message. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to help us unite and organize. And you will find out how we're organized to get critical mass, how we've got a plan to get 1,000 people in every congressional district in the city, the entire country, in order to do this and to send 534 more Jason Chaffetzes to Congress. And when you go to the website, you're going to find that out. Thank you so much for your hospitality. We love you, Indiana and Utah. We love you.